There it goes. Aha. Aha. And then I push the button. Are we live? We're live. We're live on the Gavin Seim Show. It is Christmas, New Year's. It's the end of 2023. It's kind of cold down here. It's probably like it's winter in central Mexico. So it's probably like, I don't know, 40 degrees Fahrenheit? Maybe 45, probably 45. I don't know, I guess I could ask. We're technologically advanced now. What's the temperature? It is 9 Celsius. How am I supposed to know? I can never get I can do military time, I can do centimeters, it's logical, but Celsius always just annoys me. I don't know what it is about it. It's probably me, right? It's because we don't learn it in the north in the United States, but so I have to ask the Celsius. Why did you tell me in Celsius? I'm a gringo. What's the temperature in Fahrenheit? Pinche Google. Yeah? Oh, there we go. Gracias. 49. It's going to get as low as 42 degrees tonight down here in Querétaro, Mexico. All right, you guys, good evening. Let me pop the chat out here so I can see it if I pop the chat out and put it on my secondary chatting display. Pinch it. Shout out to all you guys, to our channel backers and Patreon supporters out there that help keep the videos. I do know that there's been a lack of videos the past month because I have a hat on. I don't actually get cold. People are always like, aren't you cold? I'm in short sleeve shirts and stuff and they're freezing to death. And I'm like, no, I'm from the north. But what does irritate me, and always did when I lived in the States too, is my ears have always been really sensitive. And I get a headache if my ears get cold. And so I always like my ears being warm. I tell people here, if your feet are cold and if your feet is warm and your head is warm, your whole body's warm. You don't need clothes. Like, they wear these huge, like in 45 degree weather, they'll be like breaking out these huge down jackets that make it look like they're going to the Arctic. And I'm just looking at them like, ¿estás en serio? ¿Estás frío? ¿Estás frío aquí ahora? Como no manches? That's not what I do. I don't make fun of them. Hey, well, okay, I do sometimes. Cheers to all of you. It's not New Year's, but I don't know if I'll have another show before New Year's. So, gentlemen, have a Dos Equis with their New Year's show. It's a returnable. These are still a thing. Bottles, most of the glass bottles, you can get both, but in glass bottles, you can't see it here, but there's a little ring around here. You can't actually tell that much when you go to the store. There's a little wear ring around here where the machines have clearly grabbed these bottles and rolled them around over and over because these are returnables. So it comes with Coke, and the glass Coke bottles here are the norm, right? And they're returnables. So if you don't have one to return, then you got to pay a little bit extra for the bottle, and then when you return it, they trade it, and it makes the Coke cheaper. So a 1.25 liter glass, heavy duty glass bottle of Coke, once you have the bottle, is like $1.10, roughly, if we're converting. And if you're buying like a plastic bottle, it's a little bit more expensive. So you get your Coke or your beer or whatever a little cheaper that way. It's actual real recycling. It's not a government sponsored thing. The Coke trucks are actually bringing Coke to the stores, and they're taking the empty bottles away back to the Coke factory, and there's usually a Coke factory in every major city here because Coke is overly powerful. In Mexico, Mr. Boston, good to see you. Police misconduct, 737, Sirius Solar, Child of God, Junkyard, Bama Cam, Fitzcam, good to see you in there, my friend. Saddle Tramp. And good hat and boots, and you can run around naked. There's probably some truth in that. I'm not going to take it to that extreme because none of you want to see that, but there is probably some truth in that. So You guys are probably all busy doing your end of year family things. I just wanted to go live for a few minutes. I've been watching everything. 2023, I'll be honest, has kind of sucked. Maybe not as bad as before because we didn't have the whole virus thing going on. But for me, at least, it's been a bit of a difficult year working my ass off for very little gain, monetarily at least. Algorithms on things like YouTube really preventing the channel from growing, stuff like that. But I'm still here. I'm still here for you guys. We are still plugging away, and I'm still actually have just been really busy the past couple months for my end of season. You guys know I'm a photographer. And so a lot of my business, though, is teaching photography. It's doing classes. It's making tools and filters for Lightroom, for Photoshop, advanced tools. And so I have a product that I make where I shoot, just so you know where I've been, I shoot film. I have a product I make that is emulations on digital film for Lightroom and Capture One and Photoshop. And so I've been out the past couple months and I really had to buckle down because I did a new version of my film product that's those filters. And so I've been out shooting film and sending film in to get developed and having it scanned and then doing extensive testing. And so what I did, the result of that and what I've been doing the past couple months is this product here, my Filmist product that you see here. I'll throw it up here just so you can see. And if you're not a photographer, this doesn't mean much. But if you are a photographer, the work that's gone into being able to take our raw files and edit them with this not over the top. Some of these filters you might say, oh, these aren't crazy like my Instagram filters. And no, they're not meant to be. They're meant to look like the film that they're representing. So if you want to use a Kodachrome, you put the Kodachrome preset on. And so you go through these, and I have to do massive amounts of testing. I've made these kind of filters for a lot of years, but the film ones are far and away the hardest because I'm mimicking actual film and going out and buying actual film and having to make it all work. And so that is, I feel like I got that in reverse. That's what I've been doing the past couple months for my Black Friday release, and the months leading up to that I was pretty busy too because I was out shooting film and then working on these filters and getting this product out. But anyways, I don't go too much into the photography stuff here other than sometimes I show you scenes from Mexico, but you can go to simfx.com/filmist if you are into photography and want to support me and want to check this out. It is a genuinely phenomenal product. And you can also find my photography YouTube channel, which I try to upload every week or two as well. Completely non-related to the stuff I do here. That's purely my art and my photography stuff and training and teaching. And yeah. That's over at youtube.com/Seim Studios. Let's get back to talking about what's crazy in the world. Throw in your comments. We're not going to focus on anything super specific in tonight's video, but you throw in the comments what you think about where this stuff is. Eric says, Gavin, I'm wanting to be a cop. What's the best advice you can give me so I don't violate anyone's rights and don't become case law and I honor my oath? I want to be a good cop. So my advice, I'm assuming that question's a little bit facetious because the answer is you don't be a cop because it's not possible to be a good cop, at least not in the U.S. I would say probably not in Mexico either. By nature, to be a cop, you're joining a cartel of terrorists that robs and extorts. And even if your goal, sometimes, you watch a detective show and their goal is actually to catch bad guys and stop people from hurting people. And it's this idealized reality that is mostly not true. But even if there are people on police forces that actually are doing what we might call good work, and let's get down to this, because in a world, a lot of times when we're in kind of our anarchist libertarian dreamland, it's like, no, if we just didn't have rules, people would respect each other. Well, that's not how it works. People will abuse and rob and rape and kill and murder and pillage. That's what people do. So the community does have to defend itself. However, even if, let's say, you had a detective that his job was to stop rapists, right, or murderers, or get those people off the streets, The justice system is totally shot. So a lot of times those detectives are putting people in jail that aren't even actually guilty just so they can get wins, just so the prosecutor can get wins, because justice has no relationship to justice in the court. So even by putting someone into the court system under those charges, you're participating in the corruption, even if maybe the person you're trying to capture is actually really bad. But I think more importantly, to get to that point, you have to start as a rookie, right? They don't make people veteran cops with positions of authority until they have served the system in extortion, abuse, and criminal acts. That's what the cops start out doing. You start out with petty extortion, then you move your way up to more serious things and actually keeping the empire in order for the empire, not to protect the people. That's what a cop does. Does anyone disagree with me on that summary? And if so, throw it in the chat. I'll listen. But that's what I've seen over years and years of trying to find a good cop. If a cop wakes up and starts trying to honor his oath, we've seen this happen here and there, and say, no, this isn't okay, I'm not going to go for this, they're either fired, they pin them with some kind of charges, they plant child things on their computer, they send them to prison. In fact, when I see cops convicted of heinous crimes where there's no video evidence, obviously if cops are murdering people on the streets, we know what they're doing, but oftentimes you'll see cops go down and they're charged with things that you never see any evidence, crimes against children or something like that. And I really wonder if they just set them up because they were in the way. Because the sex crimes in the United States are mostly scam trials. Don't get me wrong, I know that people commit these crimes, but most of the people being charged with things like possession of child stuff or abusing children or something like that, they didn't actually do what society thinks they did at all, and they use all this red tape and laws and protecting children BS to actually prevent, even in the news and in the courtroom, what actually happened from coming out, all in the name of protecting children so they can fill prisons. I know people that they're doing this to, and I've seen this, and most of you guys have too if you follow this channel. I'm going to rotate the bottle this way because Dos Equis did not pay me a dime to bring them on the show. All right? So yeah, here I am, still down in Mexico, plugging away, doing my thing, trying to be good to people and trying to get my businesses kind of growing again because they've struggled in the past 3 years since the virus. And I do appreciate your guys' support. I really appreciate our channel backers. Sends a little YouTube support because we don't get much ad revenue. I'm hoping one day the people will get sick of these YouTube algorithms and they will change, but I'm skeptical because the algorithm is all about controlling the information, getting you to watch the shorts, the dumbed down stupidity. I've talked about that before. I'm going to try not to go on a shorts or a TikTok rant today, but what should we rant about? Throw it out there. Just throw it out there. How many do we have in here? There's only 30 of you in here. We can talk. It's not going to be a long show unless a lot of super chats are coming in because I'm tired. I've worked all year and I'm at the end of the year and just kind of like, can we start 2024 and just like refresh, Control Alt Delete and reboot? So yeah, I'm thinking that would be a positive thing. Gavin, why did you not come to Canada? Canada is not going to protect people from the U.S., first of all. Canada is much more in terms of playing the politics, right? I mean, you can't even, Canada's so ridiculous and fascist with their laws. It's like, oh, you had a DUI when you were 17 in 1985. You can't enter our country. So Canada is another fascist state. Their police are getting more and more violent. And I'm hearing this from Canadians, that their police are copying the U.S. more and more. In general, I understand that Canadians are like more friendly. They're like gringos, but nice, right? They're more friendly. They're more laid back. For example, I respect Canada a little bit because Canada is welcoming to Mexicanos. They can just hop on a plane and fly there and visit Canada. They don't have to get visas and special permission and stuff like that. We don't treat them like trash like the U.S. The U.S. is an embarrassment to the entire world in the way that it treats people, in the way that it respects human rights. And if you respect the Constitution, if you respect the Bible, if you respect just basic love for your neighbor, you understand that as well, that the U.S. is one of the worst nations in the world in terms of abusing other people in the name of freedom, in the name of justice, in the name of protecting. And really, it's you know, I don't know the politicians up there other than that they're politicians, right? I don't know that much about them other than that it's all the same. It doesn't matter if it's Democrat, Republican, left, right. These guys are all in the same bed. The ones that win are on the same place. There's those like me when I ran for Congress that are trying to like fight and like make something better, but they don't let those of people like us win. They make sure the people that win are the ones that are in the pocket of the corporations, the ones that are going to play along. And it's just like being a cop. If you move up through the ranks as a cop, it's because you played the game and you abused people and you served the system. All right. Shout out to Afreda. Eric says, I honestly believe they're cops trying to do what's right. I had a friend that was cop for 15 years and he quit after he had a kid. If you're serious, Eric, or if you're just trolling, I don't know. But if you're serious, I respect what you're saying and that you could think that way, because a lot of people haven't learned better, right? Once you do your research, I literally spent years trying to find a good cop, traveled all over the U.S., never once found a good cop. The only good cop is one that's quitting because he's realizing the corruption. That's what makes you a good cop, is when you turn against the system, you quit and you rat them out. And they'll hurt you if you do that. So it's not really a great reason to get into the system just so you can rat them out, because they will do everything they can to make sure. So I think I've seen people for years saying, I think there's good cops. I think there are cops that are just complete psychopaths that think that they're trying to do right, but they're not, because they've been brainwashed. That's what they do to become a cop. They're still out there extorting and robbing and sending people to concentration camps. So I think there's levels, hay niveles, as they say in Spanish. But I don't think there's any excuse for becoming a cop. It's like, if you're becoming a cop, you're joining a criminal organization, you're joining a cartel. It's like, oh, if a friend came to me and it's like, I think I'm gonna join the Zetas cartel because, I want to make it better. I'd be like, bro, that's not how you make your community or the world better by joining the cartel. Like, they're not nice people. So it doesn't mean there's not anyone in the cartel that's just trying to make a living and take care of their family and do their job. Sure, I'm sure there's lots of them. But don't join the cartel, any of them. And in the U.S., Blue ISIS is the largest, the most violent criminals in the nation. And so at this point, if people are still not paying attention to that, and they're still like, oh, my kid's a cop, he's really good. No, he's not. If your family or you are going to join a criminal organization, we're going to treat you like you're joining a criminal organization. If you want to make the world better, resist the police. Do what the activists are doing. Pull out the cameras. Call them out for their crimes, which are literally constant all day, every day. To be a cop, police are literally living off the backs of the poor and the people that they rob and abuse. That's how they make their living. MR, appreciate it. And if you sent me a message and I didn't, I try to respond to everybody, but I especially try to respond to channel backers more rapidly because you guys are supporting the channel. So if I missed a message from you, definitely send me an email directly at go to callmegav.com. My email's on there, callmegav.com. And I think you might have my email as a backer as well. It might give you my email on the backer list. I'll go check that on the back end later, because that should be something. If someone's a channel backer, my email should be right there and available for them, because that's one of the perks of being a channel backer, is that you have, it's just a little bit easier to get a hold of me. So yeah, Eric, I respect that you're not trolling. Maybe you're young. Maybe you don't realize what the cops actually do yet. You will not be that one cop and not put up with corruption. And that's just really all there is to it. It's not going to happen. You're either going to join the corruption or you're going to get put out of the force probably before you even start. That's just how it works in a cop. Yeah, definitely send me an email, MR, if I didn't respond to you, and there'll be an email in the backer stuff. Anyways, I think a lot of those accountability, like Midwest Accountability and James Freeman's and those of us who, like me, are or have been out on the streets, seeing what it's really like, can really speak to that. What else? Aaron, I appreciate it. Let's see. Anything else? Anything else we haven't covered? I'm trying to think if I have anything exciting to show you guys. I just don't have anything crazy. This is really just a chatting show tonight. And I thought, hey, you know, let's go live. I got a few minutes. It has been a crazy past month and a half for me. Let's see. Do I have any? I've been doing a little street photography. And I appreciate it, Billy. We're still plugging away down here. Laugh like hell. I appreciate it. I can show you some recent photos that I've been doing. I was in Mexico City recently. You guys may have saw that. And I just thought it was kind of cool. It's over the top Mexico City. It's like, imagine New York, but essentially without all the rules. Huge, crazy, overwhelming, like, and I just thought it was weird. Things like construction sites, basically just wide open, very just different, right? Everybody sitting at the stoplight, you know, a bus, 2 cars, and 6 motorcycles as they play with their cell phones. Just crazy. You see a lot, no matter where you go in Mexico, you see a lot of this style Beetle. They made these Beetles. In fact, somebody was just asking me about cheap cars down here in Mexico if they didn't bring their own in, because I get quite a few messages from people that are escaping the USA and trying to get themselves sorted down here, and I do what I can. But these Beetles, you can get these reasonably cheap. There's still a lot of fans, so they're not dirt cheap. But the thing is, they're so easy to work on. So you can get one that's kind of worn out. They're easy to work on. There's parts available in every town for them because they sold millions of these. And the legacy style, the classic style Beetle was made up through 96, I want to say. And so it had huge amount of user base. The other one that you'll see is a Nissan Suru, and that's what most of the taxi cabs are today for the past 10 or 15 years, is a Nissan Suru. In the old days, these Volkswagens were the taxi cab, and then I believe in Mexico City, they banned them as being the taxi cab for safety reasons or something. They only had 2 doors, and then they started using these, in the modern times, they started using these Nissan Surus in the past 10 or 15 years. And you see other ones as well, but those are the common taxi cabs. And yeah, my dad actually had, I think my dad's Beetle was a 60s one, so it was a little bit more of a classic, but it was white. It looked mostly like this, and I remember driving that thing around to go dancing and stuff like that when I was like 17. I would loan it from him all the time. And the heater on that thing, it was a fun little car. It was gutless, but the heater was like this flame that would come out of one little point on the left side, I think it was. So like basically you were freezing your balls off except your shin, which was literally just like you were burning alive. All right. And yeah, crazy little cars. I haven't driven one of these 90s ones. I would guess that some of the things improved, like maybe heat distribution and stuff over the years, but maybe not. I've thought about getting one of these days, but there's other priorities right now. This is kind of the Asian district of Mexico City, and yeah, so I've been traveling around a little bit, not as much. There's Sandra. And just various photos that I've been working on in my recent projects. But yeah, just to kind of throw it out there. On the random shows, we do this. I show you little tidbits of Mexico and things that I'm working on, just to kind of give you guys a view of what it looks like, right? Because I don't think people actually realize that there's so many stereotypes of what Mexico's like that most people really have no concept of what Mexico is actually like. And so I think it's pretty cool to, what do we got for street photos here? I don't know if I have anything else super exciting to show you today, but it's a different world, and yet not, right? If you've been here, you kind of understand what I mean. The heater boxers were installed. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, they were using the exhaust to heat, but they could have like redistributed. I mean, like you could run tubes just like a normal car, but I get that these were budget vehicles, and yeah, it just scorched. It just scorched. It was crazy. But anyways, I digress. And yes, if you go out on Sunday, this is still the kind of thing you see in Mexico. And yet everyone's on their smartphones. Everyone's going out, to events and concerts. They love their music down here. So it's interesting. And yes, Beatles. I'm always photographing the classic Beatles when I find neat light and shadow, because they're everywhere down here. Beatles and Coca-Cola, tiendas. Okay. What else? Anything else before we wrap up the year? I don't know if who knows, maybe I'll do a New Year show, but I don't know if I will. I wanted to get on here and wish you guys a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and here's to resisting corruption, loving our neighbor, and standing up for each other in 2024. Wow, it's 2024. I'm feeling old. I'm really feeling old. I'm getting to the point where I remember being like 17, 18, and it doesn't seem like that long ago, but it was actually quite a while ago. And I see a lot of you guys have bugs. How do you say Happy New Year in Spanish? Feliz Año Nuevo. But a lot of times around Christmas, you got to realize that in Mexico, everything kind of shuts down from... I want to say the third week. That's when kind of vacation, school gets out. So it's like third week of December all the way through the second week and Three Kings Day, which is when the kids all get the toys. So it's like 3-4 weeks there that it's kind of vacations, and the whole work pattern, everything changes. Like everything kind of slows down. And they usually say... Feliz, yeah, Saunders got it, Feliz Año Nuevo Año, or Feliz Año Nuevo. But a lot of times they just say Feliz Fiestas, because it kind of encompasses everything. You'll hear Feliz Navidad, but because it's not a political thing, Feliz Navidad got very popular in the States because the politically correct atheists wanted, and corporations wanted to stop people from saying Merry Christmas. So then we pushed back, and it was like an activist statement to say Merry Christmas. I mean, this is kind of what gringos do, and Mexicans are always just kind of shaking their head and laughing at us, because that was never a thing here, right? There was never like, you couldn't say it was bad to say Merry Christmas. So you actually hear Merry Christmas much less, because it's not a political statement like we made it in the US. But, There's a lot of little crossovers to Spanish. I've done a few Spanish episodes, but it's hard for people like you guys viewers to really want to learn Spanish. It's hard to really want to learn Spanish unless you're around people that are native speakers of it. Now, if you ever have to escape the US and come here like I did, you'll wish you had paid attention in Spanish class, and that you had worked a little bit of each day and went to your Spanish speaking communities and hung out with them and learned the culture a little bit, because it took me quite a few years. Pero ahora ya puedo hablar español en cualquier lugar. Sí, tengo un acento y pues a veces me da risa a la gente, ¿no? Porque me hablo raro. Hablo raro, pero yo puedo entender. Ahora puedo ver las películas, puedo ver las series, las telenovelas, y puedo escuchar casi todo, porque sí, los subtítulos se ayudan. Pero ya entiendo, hasta que las palabras son diferentes en un película o algo así, entiendo el contexto. Puedo ver la cine y ver un peli, y ya. Si no tiene subtítulos, ya lo aguanta. Entonces, así es. Feliz Año Nuevo, cabrones. All right, you guys. This is a boring show. I've told you maybe before. Man, I mean. I've told you before that this show is incredibly unprofessional. It's not a really organized, like every video is really entertaining and humorous and informative. Like James Freeman's videos. He's rocking it, right? Even the algorithm is liking James Freeman because he's taken these stories. And I know I've talked to James. I know he's put in a lot of time. He has to be very careful with what he shows because they'll get demonetized. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, we keep plugging away. I even tuned my guitar today. All right, I don't play very well. What do we got? I think my mic actually might be perfectly positioned to pick that up. Thought that I could rescue them if I gave my all. But then, no, I got that wrong. This is actually a song. I did write a song this year. Rather, I finished it. But I'm kind of a terrible player. I've always been a better singer than a player. If I put this on, I did play, okay? I did play. I'm no rock star, but singing has always been something I enjoyed. And does this work? I'm not gonna play it live. I'm not even gonna play the whole song.
Thought that I could rescue them if I gave my all. But now I come to find me with my back against the wall. Thought that we could simply stand and wipe away their tears, bring an end to hate and hurt we built through all the years. Pain when I see them locked in chains. Fear when we don't know what to do.
So I play a little, and I did play in that. I was playing the guitar in that, but I practiced it and took my best rendition, and then did my vocals. And vocals are easy for me, but yeah, that is my song that kind of is the last 10 years of my life. So it's in the end that I'm just not that great of a guitar player, and I have to actually make a living and work, and I don't have a whole lot of time to do that. But yeah, my daughter Anna, actually, as Sandra said, she's picked up the guitar, and she has a little electric guitar, and she's getting pretty good at it, so that's cool. But yeah, the traffic stop. Yeah, definitely, Eric, I can feel that. That was definitely one of my more popular videos. So maybe this year we'll do some more collaborative shows and things like that. I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I just have been lacking time. I want to do more vlogs. I want to do more videos, even if they're not profitable, because I have a lot of ideas as a photographer and a video maker and all this stuff. I have a lot of ideas, but I've just been running, kind of trying to keep up the past couple years, trying to survive. It's not like we're doing okay, but money's been a bit tight. My businesses have been tight, and I'm trying to branch out and investing into new areas, into starting some things down here in Mexico and stuff like that. And it's been a busy, stressful couple years for me. But at least I still have nightmares all the time about being in the States running from the cops. At least I'm not there. And yes, so I have some things I'm expanding on. I don't tell everything that I'm working on because the trolls and stuff will try and make it hard for me, and the people that dox me online and stuff. I do love avocados. The family is growing and plugging away and doing well. Everybody's healthy and good. And yeah, Learn how to make pizza. Pizza's very popular here. I've done shows. There's a show on here about food in Mexico and how Mexican food is amazing. But, oh, I found a piece of chocolate under here. My kids gave me chocolate for Christmas. It's like a 95% dark chocolate. I shouldn't eat this because it was just kind of sitting down here under my screen. But it's so dark, like even insects wouldn't eat it. So I think I'm fine. But yes. I'm just looking through your comments, guys. And yeah, I can't play a ton of stuff on the guitar. If I get in the mode, if I'm getting in the guitar mode and I have the time and I'm practicing for a week, I start to get okay. I'm not a great picker or anything like that. I've always been more of a vocalist, and the guitar is just a way to relax and kind of get my mind focused. I did square dance calling and yodeling and ventriloquism and had voice lessons and stuff like that. So I'm not like trying to be bragging, but I do okay with vocals. If there was a band that was like, hey, do you want to sing with us? We're going to sing some gringo songs, which is very popular down here. I would be like, sure, I can do that. I can sing American Pie for you. You just do the music. And PayPal is not working. If you want to support the channel, you can certainly do the back the channel. If you look in the link of this video, there's a PayPal ME link. I don't have Venmo or Cash App at the moment, but you can always buy something from my site too. If you're into photography at all, go to seimfx.com and check out some of my, this is the new product. I mean, let me put a link to this because I know some of you guys, I have listeners that are also photographers. Check out my new Filmless product, because one of the best ways to support me, especially if you actually use like Photoshop or Lightroom or something like that, check out my products because they're good. But yeah, you can go to paypal.me/Seim. I believe it is. Let me make sure that's right. If people just want to pitch in and send a little taco money, support the channel. But you can also back the channel if you want to. What is that? Let me get that URL right. Yeah, here it is right here. This works. And you don't even have to have a PayPal account to use this. So, learn how to play Stairway to Heaven. Yeah, that's a classic, and I probably can't play it at this point. Mexican food is amazing, yes. And I'm well familiar with nightmares about trying to get out of a place, and I pay attention to dreams. And I think all that stuff is very fascinating. So, what else? What else? Before we wrap up today, and I give you guys a final Merry Christmas shout out. We've got 40 of you in here just having a little chat tonight, but it's almost 11 p.m. down here. And one day I'll post that full song if people want it. I've even thought about making a music video of myself just for practice, because cameras are what I do. But I would feel kind of stupid. The trolls would make so much fun of me. Like, what do I do? Like, walk down the street and sing about the prisoners? I mean, like, I guess that's what people... I actually want to start filming some music videos because it's a big thing down here. And I have a ton of experience in photography and video. And I just think it'd be fun. Somebody said, like, I take photos of hot women for a living. Most of my model projects are just collaborations. They need photos and I need models, and most of their photos suck or are just selfies and stuff, and so I'll do free sessions with them. I do paid sessions, of course, but I don't yet have. I've thought about doing one. I don't actually have a studio space down here, so I haven't really promoted heavily doing my photography. There's certainly money in doing weddings and quinceañeras and upscale portraits and stuff, and with my experience, I could do it, and I could command a pretty decent price for it, even down here, because it's, their parties and stuff are a big deal down here culturally. But I'm always running in so many different directions. But I would like to have, and I'm trying to kind of make plans to have a little studio space again, because before all the activism and everything that started, I was a photographer. I had a growing business. I had a rising career. And I'm still in that business and teaching. I have a master's in photography, and I do workshops, and I do my presets and stuff that I've been doing since programs like Lightroom first launched. But I just love taking photos. So it can be landscapes, it can be street, it can be models, and it's a great way to practice language, to meet new people. And I like doing photos that I feel like people value. in a world where there's AI and cell phones and there's a zillion photos being made every minute, you have to do something that stands out. And when you take photos of people, it's personal. It's getting harder and harder to stand out. But I think real, natural photos, real people, real moments are actually going to start regressing, coming back, that is, and having more value because AI is making everything so fake that you believe nothing anymore. Everything, like, I see these pages that are like FJ Cruiser blog Facebook pages and they have thousands of followers and the photos aren't even real. They're just generated by AI and you don't even have to look very hard to see. And so right now people are still kind of in this phase where they haven't quite realized how fake everything is. Once they realize that they're being defrauded on almost every visual element they're seeing, I think it's going to bring more value back to traditional, well-made, take out a camera. I want a portrait of me that looks real. You can download an app right now and take photos of yourself, and the filters are so strong that they could purify the water from the river. I mean, they're ridiculous, and it looks nothing like you anymore. And I think we're going to start seeing a reversal of that. And I think real photography that's authenticatable, like this is actually a real thing. That's why a lot of times when I'm not doing photos, I'll take a video of it, like show you where I am, what I'm doing, so that you can see, hey, it's not just AI, right? But anyways, I think it's enough for tonight. It's 11 o'clock. I've been going for a little while. I'm going to wrap it up for you guys. I might get another show in right around the new year. We'll see. I hope you guys stay out of the hands of Blue ISIS. Don't join Blue ISIS. Resist them. And love your neighbor. Try to do good to people as we come into this next year. And let's see if we can make it a little better. MR says, do I ever regret being an activist? That is a really good question that I don't know if I want to get into. Yes, sometimes I remember the days where I was young and patriotic, all-American boy and thought that we were the greatest, and it was so simple then. But aside from that, even being woken up, sticking my neck out in front of the entire world got my face kicked, and that's about it. Now, I recognize that there's people like you guys on here who support me, but it didn't make me money. Right? I didn't sell out to anyone. I wasn't willing to, so there's no money. I am an exile from my own country. I love Mexico, but it doesn't mean I like the fact that I can't go back to the U.S. I work my ass off. I am ostracized. I am considered a radical conspiracy theorist. I mean, I went out and I did things that no one else was doing. Do I regret doing those? No. But there's definitely times where it's like, I think about, wow, look what that has cost. Look what it cost me to stand up for people. And in the end, no one really cares. They didn't even want to fix anything. They didn't really want to be stood up for. That's how I feel on my worst days. And on my better days, I look and say, no, there's people out here doing the same thing. We're standing up. This is how the world works. We have to stand up. We have to love each other. We have to resist. And that's actually what I think. But don't underestimate the burden of what it costs. This isn't Hollywood. When you stand up for people and you stick your neck out, people start hitting it with swords and boots. And it's not easy. And I'm not here to have a pity party. I did what I thought was right, and I continue to do so, even though I don't do a lot of activism right now, because I don't fit into the culture enough down here, and I'm trying to get my own businesses and things going and stabilized. I want resources to be able to help people. I feel like I can't, Jeff Winehouse is still in prison. Schaefer Cox, James Hamilton, Leonard Peltier. The prisons are still full. Like, people haven't changed. Most of the people that stood up, I mean, does anyone even know where Ammon Bundy is? He had to bail for standing up. He's never been quite as communicated in the same way that I did. But, I mean, do you know what they were trying to do with him? He stood up to the hospital stealing children. So the hospital sued him, and the judges fined him, I think, $100 million, and they were coming for his house, and he said he wouldn't give it, and he stopped going to court just like I did because he said, I'm not doing this anymore. Ammon and I don't always take the same approach, but look what it cost him to stand up. And what's his reward? Being mocked in the media for standing up, being called a terrorist, being called a radical, because the division is so sharp between left and right, because we're so ignorant and stupid that we lick the boots of politicians instead of standing up and going and talking to our neighbors and figuring out what the bloody heck is going on and what we're going to do about it to make it better for our children. But no one does that because they have TikTok and they have Netflix and their alcohol and their porn and their government lies and their bread and their circuses to keep them content. But if I help to wake any of you up to stand up and love your neighbor and resist in whatever way you can, then it was worth it. Because that's how we have to grow. Does that answer the question? I don't know. I wasn't prepared for that question. But I'm used to answering questions I'm not prepared for. I'm going to let you guys go. Keep plugging away. Stay strong. Keep your heads high. Love your neighbor. Be peace. And we'll talk to you soon. Again, more videos coming in 2024. I'm going to keep doing it. Thank you to our super chatters and our channel backers and people that send PayPal donations and Patreons and things like that. The channel's not big right now, but who knows? Who knows? We might be again soon. Someday, maybe. I don't know. Who knows what's next after YouTube? They got to get their comeuppance eventually. All right, you guys, stay safe. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. This is the Gavin Seim Show.